All right, part 2. On your vocabulary sheet, number 2 says, to simplify the quantity 2x minus 4 minus 2 times the quantity of 3x plus 7, you first do what with the negative 2? Yeah, you have to distribute the negative 2, resulting in this 2x minus 4 minus 6x minus 14. Then you combine what? Like terms resulting in negative 4x minus 18. Okay, so adding and subtracting isn't too bad. Let's talk about multiplying. It's not that bad either. Okay, multiplying polynomials. If all of the polynomials are monomials, use associative and commutative properties. Okay, so I've kind of got this, I've broken down multiplying polynomials into different types. And the first type that you may be multiplying together is multiplying a monomial by another monomial. And the strategy here is, this is my example. 3x squared is a monomial, negative 2x is a monomial, and I'm multiplying the two monomials together. The strategy here is to remove the parentheses, rearrange and simplify. Because what this is saying is I have 3 times x squared times negative 2 times x. It's one big multiplication problem. Now with the associative property of multiplication, which says it doesn't matter what order you multiply in, you still get the same answer, I can rearrange things. And really what I'm doing is just putting like stuff together. All right, if I take 3 times negative 2, I get negative 6. What happens when you take x squared times x? Remember our exponent properties? If the bases are the same and you're multiplying, you do what with your exponents? You add. If you can't remember, expand out x squared. What's x times another x? Yeah, that's x to the 3. Okay, so monomial times monomial. Here's another example of a monomial times a monomial. What's the strategy? Remove the parentheses, everything becomes a big multiplication problem. Each factor is being multiplied by the next. So negative 1/3 times the y squared here times the 2/5 times the y. I'm going to rearrange things and put the fractions next to each other and the variables next to each other. Here I've got a negative fraction times positive. That makes it negative. To multiply two fractions together, it's numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So that's going to be 2/15. So negative 2/15. What happens when you take y squared times another y? Yeah, bases are the same. You add your exponents. What's 2 plus 1 more? That's y to the 3rd. Okay. Here's the second type of multiplication we'll be doing. What do you do when you multiply a monomial by a binomial? Our strategy is to use distributive property. Example 9, here's an example. Multiply 4x times the quantity 4x to the 3rd plus 8. I have a monomial multiplied by a binomial. It could be a trinomial. It could have 4 or 5 terms in it. When this monomial is out front, you use distributive property. I'm going to take 4x times 4x to the 3rd. I'm going to write it all out so you can see it. And then I'm going to add that to 4x times 8. Right here. Okay, 4 times x times 4 times x to the 3rd looks like this. And 4 times x times 8. Well, I put the constants together and I put the variables side by side. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. What's x times x to the 3rd? That's x to the 4th. That's 16x to the 4th. 4 times 8 times x is 32x. All right. That's not too bad. All right, let's try this one. And I put this one in recently because I noticed there's one like this in my math lab where they want you to calculate the area of a triangle. This is the only time that I can recall we ever deal with a triangle in these CPM 2 or 3 classes. So first you need a formula for calculating the area of a triangle. So I threw in the formula. Your height of your triangle is always perpendicular to the base. So perpendicular means that the height and the base form a 90-degree angle. Area, you can either take the base plus the height and divide that by 2, or you can take 1/2 of, let's see, let me back that up. It does say area, yeah. Whoop. Normally the formula says one area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Actually, this formula right here isn't even correct. I think that's why I covered it up. So don't write that one down. That's not correct. These two are the correct ones. I think I was trying to hide it and I didn't get my animations right. Area, you take your base times your height and then divide it by 2. Or you take 1/2 of the base times the height. Okay? Well, in our example, the height is 4x and the base is the quantity of 7x minus 3. So to calculate the area, I'm going to take my base times my height and divide the whole thing by 2. In the numerator, I'm going to distribute. This is a monomial times a binomial, so I'll distribute. I get 28x squared minus, when I multiply here, that's 12x. The whole thing divided by 2. Now, each one of the terms in the numerator are being divided by 2, like this. So the 28x squared is being divided by 2 minus the 12x being divided by 2, which simplifies to 14x squared minus 6x. All right. Note to self, fix the animation, cover up the bad formula. All right. Here's another example of multiplying a monomial times a polynomial. Here, it's not a binomial, it's a trinomial, but using distributive property still works. I'm going to take negative 5x squared times 2x squared. I'm going to take negative 5x squared times 7x. I'm going to take negative 5x squared, multiply by negative 2, just like I did right here. Negative times positive is negative, 10x to the 4th. Right here, a negative times a positive is a negative 35x to the 3rd. And here I have a negative times a negative, so that's positive 10x squared. Do you see any other like terms that we can combine by adding or subtracting? No, I don't see it either. Here, I used to teach a lot of box method because I really like it, and I think I left this one in. So what you can do is take it's like a big multiplication table. 2x squared, the positive 7x, and the minus 2, and you're going to multiply it by the negative 5x squared. And this just becomes a multiplication table. And this times this becomes this, and this row right here is the same as this row right here. All right. Multiplication type 3. What happens if we multiply two polynomials together? We're going to multiply each term of the first polynomial by each term of the second polynomial and then combine like terms. So I'm going to show you 3 different methods. You can use any method you want to. You can use distributive property twice. You can use FOIL, which is an acronym, we'll talk about it, which essentially is using distributive property twice, or you can use the box method. All right, so I'm going to multiply these two binomials together. y plus 5, the quantity of y plus 5 times the quantity of y plus 7. Okay, and look what I did here. Let me back up. I took this y and I multiplied by this whole second binomial. And then I took the plus 5 right here and multiplied by the whole second binomial. Next, I'm going to distribute. Y times y is y squared. Y times positive 7 is positive 7y. A positive 5 times y is a positive 5y. And a positive 5 times a positive 7 is positive 35. Okay, do you see how we distributed twice? Yeah. Now we can combine like terms. The only like terms is 7y plus 5y. That gives me 12y. So it's y squared plus 12y plus 35. All right. A little more involved. Not overly complicated. Let me show you box method. Here I took the y plus 5 and put it here, a positive y, a positive 5. This positive y plus 7, positive y, positive 7. It's a multiplication table. In this box, you've got y times y, which is y squared. In this box, we've got positive 7 times y, which is a positive 7y. In this box, we have y times a positive 5. That's a positive 5y. Here, positive 7 times positive 5 is positive 35. We're going to combine like terms. Whoops. And look, we wind up with y squared plus 12y plus the 35. I kind of like that method better than the last method, don't you? Okay, let's talk about the third method. You guys probably remember doing this, kind of remember doing this in high school. It's called FOIL, and it's just an acronym. FOIL, the F stands for multiply the first terms together in both quantities. So I'm going to take the x times the x, and I get x squared. The O stands for multiplying the two outer terms together. The x is on the outside, the positive 2 is on the outside. Multiply those two outer terms together, and you get 2x. The I stands for multiplying the inner terms together. These two inside terms, what's a 3x? What's a 3 times an x? Yeah, 3x. And L stands for the last two terms. The last term in this quantity times the last term in this quantity gives me 6. Okay, so here I multiplied my first terms together, my outside terms together, my inside terms together, my last terms together, and I get x squared. I'm going to combine like terms right here. Outside insides is going to be like terms, so I get 3x plus 2x, which is 5x. So x squared plus 5x plus 6. So the previous example, if I use FOIL, watch this. Y squared. Outside two terms gives me a positive 7y. Inside two terms gives me a positive 5y. The last two terms gives me a positive 35. Isn't that exactly the same 4 terms we got up here? Yes. It gives us the exact same thing. FOIL is double distribution, just in acronym form.